Diane says, how to do FTP tests and run tests without just despising them. Oof. What do you got on this one, Tommy?
I'd say it's an opportunity to grow, like try and look at it, right? So like we train to increase that FTP, and an FTP doesn't really, what kind of meaning are we attaching to it? And so let's look at that. Like what are we doing with this outcome measure? And looking at it as an opportunity to continue to dial in and learn like how well our training is landing with us. And it's an opportunity to grow. What we go out and do on that particular day is what we do. And then we can base, coaches can base training on that, and we can continue to improve until we're continually moving up with the next FTP test. But how I personally like to like go do FTP and threshold type running tests is like well, they typically, I'd gotten to the point where I've done them on the trainer. That's been kind of some preferences before with coaches. And in that instance, it's more of, I take it like a minute by minute basis and just reminding myself, trying to stay in the moment, not trying to bite off that whole 20-minute chunk, because like when you're really ripping into one of those, it's definitely, it's not meant to feel great, right? But it is that threshold exercise. And I have found them much easier on like a climb, where it's much easier. But on the trainer, looking at it in that way and segmenting and just checking in with myself and not going out way too hard, because I think obviously the physical coaches and everything can give those tips. But looking at it as an opportunity to check in and grow and realize that by exerting ourselves the best that we're able to on that day, given that everything that led up to it, how much are we sleeping the night, the weeks before, how much work, how many other things are going on. So there's ultimate things that can impact what that outcome is. And then realizing that may not be what we want to do, but that's the best thing for us. That's going to help our training be baselined, right? Because then the coaches can do everything that they've trained and learned on how to best structure future workouts built on those.
Yeah, excellent. And that's, and Tommy, to kind of play devil's advocate with that though, I do find that at times, sometimes athletes don't see the big picture. They just know they're stuck in that moment right then, and they forget that they told their coach they wanted to do X, Y, and Z, and then the coach goes, okay, here's your stepping stones, and sometimes it's a big step. And so I do know that from an athlete perspective, sometimes it's like, what in the hell am I doing? This sucks. Why am I doing this? And you go to that kind of perpetual toilet bowl of negativity, and you just kind of roll around a bit. So I can definitely see, and Diane, to speak to your point, like those things are meant to hurt. Like when you get done with one of those, you should be done for a day or two. Like they should be brutal. Okay. But the thing is, it's just like Tommy said, it is your opportunity to measure, because I'll tell you, they suck so bad when you do those tests. You don't want to do them a week later, right? You don't want to have to revisit that just a week later. And so you want to remember that you want to maximize your time in that opportune moment, because it sucks so bad. You don't want to do it next week. You don't want the anxiety leading up to it. You don't want to have to repeat that. Right, Tommy? I mean, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't want to leave yourself in a situation where you feel like you left rounds in the chamber, so to speak, to use like a military term, like an analogy there. You don't want to finish feeling like you could go out and do a few intervals. So you want to be able to like look at it and approach that, that workout just like an actual race, because that's what it is. Like it's your main event, as Jeremy was just saying, for a little while, right? And so much is going to be based on going forward to it. So also structuring our approach to it, like deliberately, very much so, and coming to it to execute on that game day, because that's what it is. And things are going to be built off of that, and then maximizing that opportunity to see, to check in, where are we at, and so we can get that good baseline, but finishing knowing that. I've done FTP tests, before where, I'm like, well, I probably could have gone a little harder. But that's a good thing to remind. And again, to set an intention before that and having that very deliberate approach, and getting it out there.